Business Corner with Sanjay Rattan. 2 p.m. tomorrow, Monday, the 15th of October, right here at Power 102.1 FM in association with Caribbean Business Hatchery and TSTTB Mobile. Life is on. Impact TNT continues with host Andy Johnson.
Thank you very much, David. Let it not be said that if and when this organization acquires critical mass, that this organization was not there in the beginning. The Progressive Empowerment Party took part in the elections, in the local government elections a couple of months ago. They fielded candidates in both of those places where the elections were held. They didn't do as well as they expected, but it is an organization that continues to present itself as an alternative because of the fact that in Trinidad and Tobago, a lot of us continue to say that we don't like either of the parties who seek our franchise, but there's a difficulty with making a decision to opt for alternatives. And the PEP is one of those possible alternatives. Mr. Philip Edward Alexander, as I said, is a political leader, and Janice Lemon-Ricky is the public relations officer. They're both here to talk about the party's perspective on the budget and other matters on the national agenda. Good morning, good to have you.
Good morning, thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning, Andy. Good morning to your loyal listeners. Thanks a lot to Power 102 for having us here again.
Yeah, let me ask the silly question as to what happened after the election. I think I'd seen a report which was saying that you were going to take a rest.
I did, well, I tried, but I wasn't allowed. We appointed the chairman to act as acting political leader, Felicia Holder, so that I could get a little break.
Yeah, and it wasn't because of frustration out of you weren't seeing the traction that you...
No, this is not a sprint, you know. I know this is a marathon. You and I, we've been having this conversation for over a decade, Andy. Mm-hmm. You know, I know, we know that to get into this here, the job is to plant a seed. You can't plant a seed today and pick fruit tomorrow. But it is tiring. We have to work 5 times as hard as the other organizations to get our message out. We are under an unethical media blackout. We don't get the news that we're supposed to get. In fact, 2 Fridays ago, I was on TV6 with Fazir, and just that little 23 minutes shared on Facebook, on social media, got 250,000 views. If this party had access to the media it should otherwise be entitled to, I think it would already be a formidable force. It's been 21 grueling months. We've had almost 100 public meetings. Yesterday, Saturday, we had our biggest meet and greet. Every Saturday we have a meet and greet at our headquarters, and it spilled out into the yard.
You don't think TV6 and a program like this give you sufficient of a profile, because TV6 is a leading morning show?
I said to Fazir, thank you very much. You give me 10 minutes every 6 months, and he laughed. He laughed. And no, Power 102, I mean, I had to say that of all the radio stations, 104.7, 102, you all really do step up and step out, and we thank you for that. But the party is entitled to make news. We've done a lot of things. We led a protest outside the Prime Minister's office. We served them with a letter calling on the Prime Minister to demit office. He's making them
around there when your members were gathering.
And the mess that's being made of governance right now is ruining the country, and that is a conversation that we have to have. We cannot make this about personalities any longer. If it has to be about personalities, it has to be about each and every individual in this country.
What is one of your examples of the mess that is being made?
Oh my God, you could touch on anything. Tobago, what was done to Tobago? What is being done to Tobago? Everything that happened since the Superfast Glacier became news. Everything that happened since the sea bridge was broken. Everything that's happened since the conversation with Sandals in Tobago. Why are we making secret deals? Why can't we know what exactly is being done with our money, with our Tobago? I mean, Tobago is, and I keep telling people this, there is no sun, sea, sand destination on planet Earth that is more beautiful than Tobago. That we do not lead tourism, tropical sunshine tourism, that we are not the leader in the world, is a testimony to our failure to manage this country. Nobody else has the things that Tobago has. Nobody has. The Pigeon Point jetty became a synonymous, ubiquitous image for a tropical getaway. And we took all of that for granted. We've ruined it. We've destroyed the largest brain coral in the world of Tobago. We had the oldest old world forest in Tobago. Nobody else on planet Earth has a nylon pool. I mean, just these little massive things. I mean, this tiny country has things that nowhere else in the world has, and we don't capitalize on it. So you ask one example.
Yeah.
That would be an example. The madness
that
that
issue, you can't simply blame this administration.
Not
because,
at all.
because
Not at all. The only thing that I am
administration
blaming,
cannot-
absolutely, tourism, the destruction of Tobago, what was wrought by the THA and open politics, as a whole other lengthy conversation we could have another time. But there seems to be no vision, no focus, no plan. So without a vision, the Bible says the people perish. Where is the vision for Tobago tourism? The number one tourism in the world right now is cruise ship tourism. There are people who get on a cruise ship, sail to an island, the ship parks there for 3 days, and people visit the island and use the cruise ship as a hotel. We are outside of the hurricane belt. We could do deals with Caribbean Princess, Monarch of the Seas, Disney Cruises, joint venture private sector, set up marinas for each of those individual distinct cruise ships to have their own presence in Tobago. They'd put 1 million feet on the ground. We're talking billions of dollars.
People have talked about that for decades.
Why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we doing it? This is what I don't understand. Why isn't tourist development dollars readily available in Tobago? The Prime Minister opened a car park on Independence Square for the Furnace Group a couple of weeks ago and said he knows the Trinidadians sitting on a lot of money. That's a fact, but real investment opportunities don't exist in Trinidad right now. They should be matching dollars in Tobago. The government should put its money where its mouth is and say, we will match dollars. You invest 5 million, we will invest 5 million in destination, transportation. You invest your $5 million in your hotel, we will invest it in making sure planes taking off and landing in Tobago every 15 minutes. And that we can bring people to your hotel, people will invest.
Now, what do you say to the cynical people who would say, yeah, it sounds nice because you're outside, and when you get in there, you make no difference?
I don't know why people say that. I think it's a way to explain away their own apathy. I think it's a way to explain away the fact that we have to justify voting for race, because the PNM and the UNC and that change exchange has been nothing but a race vote. More than 50% of the people have stayed away from elections. They stay away because they're not interested in racist politics. So it's not that everybody who goes in there is going to thief. Not everybody who goes in there is going to fail. Not everybody who goes in there is going to try to use it to get an advantage to themselves and their friends and their finances. Lord knows we've done so much already not having had government. We should give others a chance. The closest we've come to that is uniting everybody as the NAR. We unite everybody as the People's Partnership. There's never been a genuine, authentic, brand new political movement devoid of recycled politicians. This is that. And the noise that we're making and the ground that we're building is built on real sound policies, plans, programs. It's common sense, it's counterintuitive. It's things that you know. It's things that the average person, when you say it, they say, yeah. There are people in Mexico, in Cancun, who are doctors and lawyers working as waiters and waitresses in hotels, because 4-star and 5-star hotel, you earn $20,000-$30,000 a month in tips US. That there is a waiting list to get into these hotels. How could Mexico, which is also a violent destination, be able to offer that level of tourism and Tobago can't? What about the Pitch Lake?
And Cancun seems to be insulated from that. From the sense of the chaos and the
of Mexico City.
Yeah.
And that makes the point. That makes the point. There's a city in Mexico so dangerous that nobody wanted the job of sheriff. Nobody at all. A young woman, criminologist, she took the job and she made the cover of Newsweek magazine and I think Time as well for being as courageous as she was. A week later, she was dead. Mexico is one of the most violent and dangerous places in the world, and they could still boast a Cancun.
Yeah.
Our Tobago, I was going to mention just now, Labre. Trinidadians don't understand what Labre is to the world. And if the world were given an opportunity to engage the Pitch Lake, not just as pitch, but the sulfur springs and the other health benefits of being associated with, every time I say Labre, he's lean in, you know. He's lean in. That's your minister of Labre, you know.
You're being sandwiched by the
Labre, yeah. But okay.
Exactly. Yeah. We've not
So
treated it with respect.
What this current administration is seeking to do there, they decided to deal with somebody to open something.
We didn't need to sign a deal with China. We have the money here. This is not rocket science. We could have done this. We could have encouraged investment in the private sector. We could have done this ourselves. There seems to be, between the UNC and the PNM, they seem to be fronting, and I want to say this, they seem to be fronting the Chinese expansion that we're all reading about, and they're fronting it in Trinidad and Tobago. And I know that we hear the rumors and the allegations that governments get paid their commissions and they kick back in bank accounts in China so that the rest of the world can't follow the money. And that sounds all too real when you look at the fact that Phoenix Industrial Park is getting 10 Chinese businesses. What about the rest of the world? Holland, Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, all these countries, America, Canada, Great Britain, Japan, they don't want to invest in Trinidad. They absolutely do. The largest manufacturer of wind farms in the world comes out of Holland, and they've been knocking on the door in Trinidad for a decade. They've been trying to get in here, and they're not being allowed to. Why? Why is it only Chinese joint ventures we're doing? That is a question that needs to be asked.
You think that there's corruption behind it?
You see, if you can't prove something, you shouldn't say something. But you're also able to say when there is that much smoke.
Yeah. All right. Now you wanted to talk also about what you see as the weaknesses and the shortcomings in the last budget.
This budget is devoid of any direction. A budget is supposed to be a vision for the country, where we go for the next 12 months. We didn't get that. We came out of this budget with a truncated budget. Bacchanal, Keith Rowley, AV Oil, Monilal, and that's the conversation. But the parents who have children in school have no new vision for what's happening in education. Education is failing. We know that 50% of the children get left behind. And the budget that spent $5 billion on it last year is going to spend $5 billion on it this year. And nobody's explaining why Mokorapo Road could separate a prestige school, Fatima College, from a failed school, Mokorapo Secondary. 20 feet of pitch. We are failing at educating. The budget was supposed to address that.
There are people who say that you shouldn't call a school a failure, and
they would be right.
Castigates. And
they would be absolutely right.
All the people who go there.
They would be absolutely right to say that. And the people who say that you shouldn't talk about all the things that are wrong in Trinidad and Tobago, I agree with you 100%. But for as long as we don't talk about it, we're not going to fix it. And if you don't face it, you're not going to face up to the reality of it, and that is the truth.
So what makes for a school like that you describe like that, you think?
I think that Fatima College gets advantages that Mokorapo doesn't get. I think that our system of education, the SCA that tries to separate fish from fowl and the brightest from the slower, the Finland education model, which is the highest standard of education in the world, has no examination like that. They separate no one. They believe that the slow children are pulled forward by those that have a better understanding and grasp of the work being done.
So we have to unhinge our education system from what it is now.
We need to undo it and redo it. We need to abolish SCA. And
Camille Swap has talked about that for years until I don't know if she's left the country, but she certainly don't hear her anymore. She was an opponent of that.
See? And every time you interview people about the SCA, it always comes down to the point that the SCA is harming children. It's not helping nobody.
And it was supposed to have been a relief over the GCE. Or the
common entrance.
That it will remove stress,
but
and so it has not done
the moment that they said under Basdeo Pandey that we had a school place for every child, the SCA, the common entrance, all of that should have ended. Because before it was trying to get 20,000 children into 14,000 places. You were going to have 6,000 failures who did not get educating. From the moment you were able to say that there was a physical school place for every child in Trinidad and Tobago, you were then supposed to zone the schools, give each child a GPA from the age of 5 so that they could defend their own performance going forward. If all the schools in Trinidad and Tobago were 10-year schools, then the parents and the caregivers and the principals and the teachers would grow together as their children grow together with their peers. Children that grow with other children 5 to 15 become a strong woven community for the future.
Do you think we could do that and remain within the construct of the CARICOM model for education? Because Trinidad and Tobago is part of it.
Somebody needs to lead. Somebody needs to lead. Somebody needs to put the children first. Somebody needs to forget all of these agreements. We have to look at the fact that this thing not working. It's not working. We need to make sure that our education system is predicated on needs that exist in the country. It's like our farming. If our farming was predicated on consumption data, we would be growing what we need. and we'd be growing it affordable, and farmers would be making money, and cost of food would come down. All of these are simple, common sense, counterintuitive. We know it. It's not rocket science, but we're not doing it because we put people in government who, as you're about to go through the door, Hadco, Amco, Massey, give you a couple $1 million and tell you just don't grow no food. Don't grow none. So we could import billions of dollars worth of food.
What is behind
I absolutely know. Clarence Rambarat is a genius. Clarence Rambarat is a very bright guy. I've known him for a long time. He's a lawyer, a columnist, a lecturer. You think Clarence don't know the solution to Trinidad and Tobago's cost of living is to lower the price of food?
The Prime Minister is we're carrying it as part of one of our sort of ads and promos in the news. The Prime Minister is saying that we shouldn't seek to compete with anybody in agriculture because there are farms in different parts of the world that are bigger than Trinidad.
This world lives on 5 staples and 4 meats. There are over 150 types of vegetable and fruit that you could eat that could grow in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't even talk about. The same Mexico earns $1.5 billion US every year shipping tiny little avocados to the States. Our Pollock avocado would annihilate that. Avocado, guava, breadfruit, soursop, those are hardy crops. You don't have to water them and wipe them down morning and evening like some of these other crops. If we were growing breadfruit flour in Haiti is leading a revolution. We've been talking that for a long time. Breadfruit, since Lincoln Myers was a Minister of Agriculture, if you remember, and he brought dwarf breadfruit from Malaysia to Trinidad. Breadfruit is the only low glycemic starch. We should be growing breadfruit to process to make breadfruit flour is a better. What we import, that bleached processed flour, has no nutrition. It has no value. You're filling your stomach, you might as well eat mud. If you were to be using breadfruit to make breadfruit flour, to make breadfruit bread, all of the carb problems that people have with bread right now, they wouldn't have, and it's nutrient dense.
Okay, the Minister of Finance described the 2019 budget as a signal for turnaround. Comment on that.
I think that was him loosening his belt. The political response to their fake recession is hitting them very, very hard. Trinidad and Tobago went through a recession for 3 years, while the rest of the world, the rest of the entire world, grew 3.5% per year. How's that possible? How could we not know how to diversify this economy? We have ambassadors and high commissioners all over the world sitting down today with nothing to do. That idea of having a high commissioner and ambassador was when there were no communication. Today, Keith Rowley could FaceTime with Donald Trump. You don't need one. We need 5 ambassadors and high commissioners in the world if we need them for our presence. Africa, Asia, United Nations, Europe, Americas. 5. Just to represent us in those regions. But if you want to have high commissioners and ambassadors, give them a job. Your job should be report to this nation every quarter. Either sell Trinidad and Tobago to the world or bring foreign direct investment to Trinidad and Tobago. And all of our foreign direct investment shouldn't try to be forced into Point Lisas and Labitco, and everything shouldn't be downstream of natural gas and oil. There are other things that you can do that will utilize all of the idle labor in Morva, Beetham, Lavatil, Sealots. We should not be driving past Alabas to come into the country, the nation's dump. You should redo that as the largest commercial duty-free center in the world. We sit between...
And there have been decisions for years to do something about it, to move it from there.
I have seen China built an island twice the size of Trinidad and Tobago to make a dump. But some of the places in the world, look at the Singapore model. The Singapore model, the way they recycle and renew, that the fluids coming out of the dump could be turned into drinking water. We know all of this information is out there. Nothing we're telling you is brand new. Everything here in Trinidad is a dot in the ocean. So for us to do for 1.4 million what other people doing for 30 and 40 million people should be easy. They've done it before. They have a saying, success leaves clues. Why we can't follow that? Dubai and Singapore make their money off shipping. We are in spitting distance of the Panama Canal between North, Central, and South America. Why are we not doing shipping turnaround?
Again, that is a subject that's...
Why are we just talking? Why are we just talking? Why are we just talking? Andy, look at a simple one. 1.1 million people are without electricity in Florida because of the hurricane that just passed there. Every time a hurricane touches down in Florida, they lose hundreds of millions of dollars in pleasure craft, pleasure boats, yachting, motorboats. And they would gladly, they tried to come to Trinidad and Tobago and we chased them away. Trinidad and Tobago, because of its position outside of the hurricane belt, the only Caribbean island, we're supposed to be the world leader in yacht storage. Just storage. Yeah. You could store yachts in 40-story buildings. We could be storing yachts underground. There is German technology that we could take right now and use. We could store yachts just pleasure boats and be earning billions of dollars.
And you have no reason why we're not doing these things. We say we want to do.
We take that
statements of intent going back more than 10 years on all those points you just talked about.
Corruption. Pure, rotted corruption. This country has been destroyed from within and led astray by its governments. The PNM and the UNC can't beat their chest to any success in Trinidad and Tobago because, and you and I will sit down here today and people will say, but that sounds like just talk.
Yeah.
But every vision starts with an idea that becomes talk, that becomes action. At some point, all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago have to be asking, why is all of the land that we took back from Caroni being slowly but surely stolen, repurposed for housing and strip malls? We're building strip malls from Chaguanas, one a week. Just now we're going to connect Port of Spain to Chaguanas through strip malls. And it should be food. This is food-bearing land. Andy, I just want to say one thing to Trinidad and Tobago. They take one thing I say. In a couple years, food independence is going to be the only independence that matters, you know. Who controls your food?
Food security.
Food security, food independence. Who controls your food controls you.
All right. What do you think must happen for? I don't want to use the word. I don't want to use the phrase for people to take you more seriously. What do you think must happen for, again, your party?
We need,
to get traction?
and if I was sitting down here today with $300 million, they would be taking us very, very seriously. If we had a Sabga and a Calco and a Hadid and a Abood and a Chin and we had $300 million in our war chest this morning, power 1 or 2 after I leave here, the managers would be outside there waiting to discuss with us our $15 million spend next year because it comes down to money. And media salivates for money in Trinidad and Tobago, but media has a role and a responsibility. And the Progressive Empowerment Party, this conversation that you and I just had here is very factual and important information that people are supposed to be discussing. We have public meetings every single week, and the purpose of the Progressive Empowerment Party principally is to inform, educate, and empower. If people choose to vote for us, let that be their choice. But people need to start asking their politicians and those who would seek their vote, what would you do for healthcare? What would you do for education? What would you do for national security? Our policies are built on, like a rising tide, raising all boats. The nation spends $9 billion on average on national security that should be repurposed to housing, starter housing, not low-income housing, not ghetto complexes, but just making the average person. You could make the average minimum wage earner eligible to own a home. You could build starter homes. The state has the power to remove the taxes and the VAT and the stamp duty from basic construction material. The state has the money and the power to offer zero deposit, zero interest for up to 30 years for first-time homeowners to up to $1.5 million. Yeah. For that, you could bring $1 million house down to $500,000.
Let's make a date. Come back next Sunday and talk specifically about housing, because the HDC and the Ministry of Housing say they want to move in some directions, which I don't know if you would say that they consistent with what you're talking about here, to invite small developers.
Our policy is to abolish the HDC altogether. Yeah. We shouldn't be in the public housing building business. We should be in the guaranteeing every single citizen who wants to own a home. If you have a job, you should be able to qualify for financing to buy or build your own home. If you create that demand, if you pre-qualify 250,000 people today to own $200,000 house, to buy $200,000 houses, all of a sudden the private sector and the market will start to do its job.
Right, so let's make a date for that, because that's a major issue.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we could deal with that. Yeah?
You can't be giving out 30 keys here.
No, that is not a policy.
On a list that has 176,000.
Absolutely.
Talk about that some more. Let me just ask you, quickly, just to update us on, after the election, you had this issue with the Elections and Boundaries Commission, and you wrote there, they wrote you back, but you never had a chance to square the circle on that, about what you saw as irregularities.
Me that, it's the police responsibility or job to doing what they're not supposed to do. Right?
So they acknowledge that should not have happened.
They acknowledge plain to thy kingdom come and not take action against what is considered to be not in good faith.
All right, thank you very much, John.
Before I go, and it's resonated with me the other day, somebody said to me yesterday morning, is that I give you permission to have been given permission, or are waiting on permission to be powerful. And people need to
for somebody's
understand,
punishment.
correct, and people need to understand that they have the power to make a change in this country, not be given permission to make a change.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll take a break, and when we come back, Lennox Marcel. Stay with us.
Right. Hey, Honey Foods everyday specials and unbeatable prices are sure to please. They have sale on all Ashley's bed and bath sofa cleaning, 50%. 2 dozens of eggs, $50.